I call this workshop meeting to order at 4 p.m. on October 7th, 2024. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to
the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good afternoon. Before we begin, just a quick ground rules, and I'll abbreviate this as much as possible. Please note the fire exits. In case of an emergency, walk, do not run to the exits. Do not use the elevators. The restrooms are in the hallway to my right. I would like to remind everyone of the ground rules. The town board welcomes public input when it's on the schedule from time to time for meeting that purpose of understanding what the public wants. When it's your turn to speak, step up to the podium, speak into the mic, and clearly give your name and address. The meetings are recorded and broadcast on our website, Facebook, and other social media platforms. It's important to speak into the mic so that the people at home may hear you. Each speaker during the public input is given 3 minutes. Unless you're giving a presentation, it is up to the town to determine what that time is, and address all your comments to the chair of the board. And with that, Madam Clerk, we'll keep the time. And with that, Madam Clerk, can you please read the roll?
Supervisor Evans,
Here?
Councilman Weiner,
Here.
Councilman Perticone,
Here.
Councilman Malone, Councilwoman Cunningham,
Here.
Attorney for the town.
Present.
For those viewing at home, we have a new meeting schedule, and I'll go over it again at the end of this meeting. And that's due to conflicts with our board members. On October 10th, we have the post-budget will be released to the board. October 15th, the first budget workshop at 4 p.m. October 15th will also be our town board meeting at 7 p.m. October 16th is the second workshop at 5:30 p.m. And October 21st is a special town board meeting to adopt the preliminary budget. November 7th and that will be at 4 p.m., excuse me. On November 7th is the public hearing on the budget. That's at 7:35 p.m. On November 12th is the town board workshop at 4 p.m. November 18th is a special meeting to adopt the budget at 4 p.m. And November 19th is our regular town board meetings. We have a busy month and a half of meetings. We had a great fall kickoff with the haunted house and hay rides and a very wet movie night. So thanks to the rec department for always going above and beyond. It was a fun time. This month we have a convergence of cultural celebrations. As you know, we are highlighting for our community building efforts, understanding of other cultures, and other cultures that may be new to our great town. So last week we celebrated Rosh Hashanah. So Shana Tova Umetuka, to our Jewish residents and friends. And on October 12th we will observe Yom Kippur. We also have Indigenous Peoples Day coming up, Italian American Heritage Month, which is celebrating the historic and cultural and economic impact the Italian Americans have had on our community and our country. A little known fact, there's also Creole Peoples Heritage Month. And here at Town Hall, we'll hear on the 10th, we'll hear from our town residents who produced a movie called This Is My Grandmother Bev and Carol at 6:30 at the library, and we'll cover that more later on. And I'm also excited because we are on the 11th at 10:30 in the morning on our front line. We'll have a flag raising for the Indigenous Peoples Day and the land recognition ceremony. And right now, we have a presentation from Mr. Tommy Burnett. As you know, community events is what we're about, trying to give increased quality of life for our residents. And Mr. Tommy Burnett now has a presentation that he wants to discuss with the board. And you have 5 to 10 minutes for the presentation.
Thank you. Tommy Burnett. I live at 124 Kimbark Road in Penfield, New York, 14610. I think that's what you wanted me to do, tell you where I'm,
That's good.
my address. Okay. I am a musician. Just a little background real quick so you know who I am. But I also have a distillery with some partners out in Fairport that I started in 2011 called Iron Smoke Distillery. We're a New York State Farm Distillery. I'm the CEO and co-founder. I like to call myself the chief trailblazer, though. And so my background's in music. I was in a band in the 90s called Modern English, and they had hit with I'll Stop the World and Melt With You. That changed my life. Tour bus, Today Show, Tonight Show, and I was broke at the time and catapulted into music and entertainment. And then I did marketing as well. So I was known for my creative ideas with bands like the White Stripes early on and Kid Rock up to, I worked up my way up to working with Sir Richard Branson from Virgin, who I was a fan of, and I read his books. But it was crazy. I'm a blue-collar kid from Rochester, New York. My dad was a steam fitter. But that leads up to why I'm in front of you right now, is because I came up with a concept for a grant from the state of New York for I Love New York. And what I did was, and there's nothing, I kind of, because of my creative chops, I was like, okay, we got enough, and there's nothing wrong with this. Balloons over Letchworth and kayaks in the Adirondacks, but we wanted to celebrate culture, artists, culinary, bourbon making, beer making, all the great things that we have to offer up here. And I got the grant. So then it was off to building out a festival, and that was kind of like the Trojan horse, where it was we had a big event, and we featured artisans from all over the state and all over the country in Livingston County. The reason we went to Livingston County and Geneseo is I went everywhere else, and they gave us some most support in the way of funding, and we got a grant from them as well. And we put on a festival called Hoochie is a word I made up, and I got the URL a long time ago. So we put that on. It was a pretty big success. One of the biggest highlights, though, besides the music, we brought in a band from England, and I played as well. But it was a bourbon experience like no other. And we partnered with a guy in Kentucky that ended up with his bourbon experience in the Wall Street Journal. And so it was to experience the great art of bourbon making and celebrating other things. We had a public market kind of when you walked in. So there was all these different things, and we brought a lot of attention to Geneseo, and it worked for them as far as filling hotels, kind of a cooler vibe for them. So I did that through Iron Smoke, my company, and then we're expanding, and we're in 12 states now. So we didn't want to be in the festival business after last year. It was kind of a distraction on a lot of my time. So I was talking to Sean McCarthy, who owns McCarthy Tents, the biggest tent company in the Northeast, a very successful guy. He's got the Holiday Village downtown. I don't know if you've ever been there, but they attract 185,000 people through their course of when they put that up around the holidays. And we were talking, and he said, I'd love to get involved. And so now he's come on board with purchasing the festival, and one of the deals was that I had to come along with it. So Sean can't be here today. He was in California. He didn't make it back yet. And he's more the technical guy, but he loves the Camp Eastman. And we went out there and I saw it, and I think it's really a great location too to have it. I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of where I'm coming from and what I've done. One of the utmost paramount things about the festival and having my name tied to it in Iron Smoke is that we're always number one is hospitality and experience and keeping people safe. So that was what we went into. I think we created that out in Geneseo. is there, you probably have questions. I want to make sure that you guys can come at me, but I kind of wanted to just lay the groundwork.
So the idea is to have a music festival here in Arundecoit at Camp Eastman?
Yes.
And how many bands and how many days and what are your planning?
It's 3 days. It's August 8th, 9th, and 10th. That's what Sean would like to do. Kind of like a softer 8th and the 8th, like local bands and a more local experience than opening up into national acts. And that's why I'm here without Sean, is because people are booking their tours next year right now. So we're really against the clock, and we got to decide where we're going to have it. So that time frame, and you probably need access to the area that week, early in the week.
To build up for it?
Yeah. Well, he's got, the VIP experience is going to be a double. Did you ever have you guys been to the Jazz Fest? They have a double-decker VIP experience. So we're talking that level of experience for people in the VIP area and, whatever celebrities we can probably drum up.
And this would be bands from not only local but nationally?
Yeah, national. Last year we had a band called the Struts from England, and then I played in, it was Tommy Burnett and his Cavalcade of Scoundrels, and I had, I don't know if you remember Rock Me Gently, that song, I had the 45, and this guy wrote it, and he's from Toronto, and he also wrote Sugar Sugar, and he wants to come back. And then Dennis Casey from a band called Flogging Molly, that's from here, he sat in with me with my son on the song, so it was kind of cool. But national acts and national, we want to bring the culinary experience, the Bourbon Lodge back, and have people from Kentucky be able to talk about the process and different things like that. So it'll be educational as well. It's not just a concert, but that's a big element.
How many people did you have participate, spectators, come last year?
Not as much as we wanted. We're late in the game, and it was a very cold day. It was kind of snowing out, so it was about a little over 2,000 people. So it was a big learning experience. They say that we paid our tuition now, so we learned how to have it earlier, like in the August and the warmer months here, because it's a gamble in October.
Mm-hmm.
So this one you had, this was your first one in Geneseo?
That was our first one in
First one,
Geneseo
okay.
because of the
And
grant.
when did you do this one? I'm sorry.
We did it in October.
Last October, a year
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah, and the idea was to have it in the fall.
Yeah, okay, so that was your first one. Okay, so where did you do it in Geneseo?
We did it in the middle of town.
Right in town?
Yeah, it's a park that's butts up against the college in the middle of town.
Okay.
There's like a little log cabin there if you ever been through it. Mm-hmm. And we had posters with a bear with a lamp on it.
Yeah, right.
Tied it all in.
So as far as, it's a college campus obviously as well
Yeah.
too, so you figure 2,000 people. So you're talking over 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
What are the hours ballpark? What do you usually do for hours?
Ballpark, obviously whatever time we have to end,
Okay.
according to
Okay.
you guys. And then it'd be after work on Friday, then it'd be pretty much all day on Saturday, and then an early finish on Sunday. Like it'd be like a afternoon into the late afternoon.
All right, so now you said this partner of yours he's a tent, he has the tent?
Yeah,
So
he's-
you're gonna put up a tent, now we're familiar with when we had the Oktoberfest here or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, is it that size tent? Is it a lot of things are gonna be under the tent or?
Yeah,
know.
it's going to be probably, from what I understand, bigger. It's the 25,000 square feet of tenting,
Okay,
and it's a great partner because he's like,
Okay.
if it rains, I'll
Yeah,
tent the
sure.
whole thing.
Yeah.
He's got a giant.
so there would be one tent, that you have one tent and then, everything would be underneath the tent
Well,
mostly?
it'll be spread out.
Okay.
There'll be tents. There's a
Yeah, we've got a
Yeah,
picture.
that
It
little
looks-
map you gave
there's-
us here.
There's two
Yeah, that's-
stages
You
here.
know?
yeah. So there's a lot of different tented areas.
Yeah, okay,
So there's going to be a main tent, then there'll be a stage
Okay.
in the field,
okay.
but there's going to be a lot of different areas where you can go and experience things.
Sure. And then what is there, like a charge for it? Like a 3-day pass or something like
Yeah,
that?
we're going to break it out. Last year was
Okay.
the big thing was everybody likes the VIP passes, the
Yeah.
experience for the whole weekend, so that's
Okay.
sold out. But there'll be general admission, and they'll probably go up in price as we get closer.
Okay,
I think it's going to be around, it'll probably start, if we do it like last year, around 30, going up to around $50 day of the show.
okay. Chief, did you have a chance to look at this? I mean, as far as traffic and that type, I mean, we got one road in and one road out, you know,
Yeah,
that type of
absolutely.
thing.
Looked at it. Obviously, we already talked about this. They bring their own security. They would have all that right there. We would still have our presence, mainly concerning the traffic on Lakeshore Boulevard. But we'd also have a presence inside just in case anything popped off. And then we also know that there is always the emergency exit that we can actually come out the back through Colebrook, through there, Pine Grove. I'm sorry. If I could just mention the fact that, you know, I've known Tommy Burnett's product for many years, very professional. Obviously, the business that he runs out in Fairport, speaking with the Fairport chief, there's never an issue at his location. And personally, you know, looking at the bands and everything they have, I mean, this is going to be pretty big, and I think it's for the town of Arundecoit. This will be an amazing opportunity. So, like I said, if you look, they actually have a nice website, and you can see actually how professional everything is. It's nothing fly by night. It's definitely going to have, like I said, we're looking at this a year ahead of time, and you know that's what it takes to make something like this work. So, I'm very satisfied with it.
I mean, do we have any, like you said, a couple thousand, that was over the weekend, obviously, right? You know what I mean?
What Sean was saying, we're aiming for 10 to 15,000
Yeah.
over the 3-day period, hopefully. And that's the numbers we have
Yeah.
to hit to
Okay.
try and make sense of it.
I mean, the only concern is we'll have to look overflow parking. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
how
what I
many-
was
I don't
just
know how
gonna
many
say.
people in there can park, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even know how many spots we got in there.
One of the
so.
things that we talked about, we have two things going. Because of the restrictive covenants, we have to get the special use permit actually from the city. And we looked at maybe doing parking in Camp Eastman. And I would talk to the mayor about maybe section off the part across the street to do parking where we charge. And that would be kind of the town revenue generator.
Will they park,
for
I
that.
mean, where they park on Lake Shore, they go to the,
Yeah.
for the beach?
Correct.
Beach down there, okay.
And there's a parking, there's others.
Well, I hope that's a problem, right? I mean, you got too many people, right?
Yeah, and we can, as we get closer, we can work with
Yeah, sure.
the law enforcement, and we welcome that too. We want to have them have a presence when people are walking in and out. It kind of
Sure,
keeps you in check,
yeah.
you know, so that's a really important piece.
The other question I had was the work being done down at Camp Beastman. When is that expected to be done, and if that is going to be a barrier?
Yeah, we should be good
Okay.
as far as our schedule. And we should actually have the first cabin and the outdoor pavilion up by August.
Sean has ground cover things, and he can do a whole
Okay.
field,
Sure.
so it protects the ground for vehicles to get in and out where the stage setup is, and additional parking. We could work that out when Sean is here.
Yeah.
He's used to working with this.
Right.
And then
I mean, would he come and talk to, I'm sorry, Pete, would he come and talk to us as well, too? If he's in
Yeah,
town?
the reason we wanted to keep this date is because of the time crunch.
Sure,
We just
sure.
have to make sure if we can move forward.
I mean, yeah, we got time, but, you know, see.
No, well, I think it's really great that you had the forethought to come in this early.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I guess you already know that it takes
Yeah,
a lot of planning.
Yeah, the
and-
bands are booking
Yeah.
And then
into 2026.
attendance also probably depends on who you get for bands, right?
Yep.
I mean, to some extent, you may
Yeah, we want to
hit-
get a major headliner. Sean's not, he's going for it, like with budgets for quality acts.
these dates don't conflict with any of our camps or anything down there.
We've already looked into making some other arrangements on the dates leading up to it, so camps will be just fine.
Okay. And then it'll be a question of closing out all those camp rentals dates.
Already done.
So, and you take care of insurances and everything like that as well, too?
Yeah, we have
Is
to,
it?
yeah.
Okay,
There's cancellation insurance, and there's also, the bands all need it,
sure.
the booking agents are big,
Right.
and they're like, we want to see
Yeah.
proof of bonds and everything else.
Okay, and then you bring your own security in, right? Is that
Yeah, inside we would,
inside?
be able to do that. I think what Sean was asking was the police presence and the support there. And I think with our support for, like, even Sheriff Baxter might even want to be involved, if that makes sense, that's all. You guys,
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
okay, sorry. Yeah, well, my law enforcement, my cousins are all, Pete, Brunette, there's a lot of ties there. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but, and, like, the other things were like an ambulance, if you have that kind of support
Okay.
for us, and dumpster and assistance with garbage removal, I think that's getting smaller, but I think that
Yeah.
if we can, whatever kind of support you
Right.
can give us, we could use it.
Well, I think Pete hit it on the head. We got a year, well, 10 months to,
Well, I think it's going to be important to keep the lines of communication open.
Yep.
Possibilities aren't instantaneous with us. We need to know what you need.
Yep.
All those type of things. That there's cost and scheduling issues that need to be resolved well in advance of the actual physical need. So,
Yes, sir.
I mean, once you start planning this and you think you need this, that, and the other thing, you need to talk to us about it. We can't. Our budgets are set also. And,
Yes.
So we.
I understand, yes. That's something, I'm like the visionary guy and on the marketing kind of spirit, and I've got the connections in the music business and in the community. I just want to bring something cool to celebrate the culture that we have here in a global fashion. I mean, this got global attention in Geneseo last year, and we kept the hotels full, and there's some really great restaurants here that we'd like to support.
Yeah.
Rondequoit's great.
I think this is a
for 8
great
years.
use of that site.
I
mean,
know.
there is some complexities that we need to work our way through. I think, I'm aware of the Hoochie Festival from last year. I think it's a great location. Great to keep it in Rochester rather than in Geneseo. It's even better to have it,
I think so too.
affiliated with Irondequoit.
Yeah, I just have to go back and tell the Wadsworths though, because they really wanted it back, but that's my only, personally, that's,
I'm all about the bands, if you can
dude,
give us
we
a
got,
little.
yeah. We've got
Scooby
some-
snack on
That's
that
why
one, huh?
they're asking, they want to know where we're having it. And we do have national acts that we're talking to that are really quality.
I think Andrea has a couple questions.
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, a few questions. It sounds like an interesting project, without question. Just a couple of questions. With respect to the quality of the bands, I would expect considerable regional attention and considerable influx of attendees. I think you mentioned that it would be 15,000 over 3 days.
Yeah, that's what, let me double check, 10 to 15 attendees for the first year are aiming for this year, 2025, so.
Has it been determined how many people would be able to essentially fit in the space that we're talking? 'Cause
Yes.
it's fairly contained.
Sean has the measurements, and he's used to dealing with bigger crowds like downtown, and how he's got it worked out mathematically for, I don't do this, but we had somebody do it last year for comfortably standing, how many people can fit in that area. So
Right.
he's done that.
I think you got to my next question would have been, if you look at your graphic, the main stage, the main crowd area is 32,000 square feet. And my question would be, how many people would that accommodate in that area?
I can get that for you, and I can certainly get that to you probably when Sean lands later. But it comfortably fits what we're trying to do with the numbers.
Okay.
I think
all
for
right.
assembly occupancy, it's 1 per 5 square feet.
That's what it is, right? So we can do the math,
1 per square
if
feet?
that is.
1 person per 5 square feet.
does it go by weight?
So does that work out?
It's
to
another
that-
factor, I don't
that
think
number?
that they,
I think
they
that my
probably
math works
factor
out
the
to
5 feet's
60,000,
good
but
for.
we won't get into the nitty gritty.
But sorry.
My other question, and I appreciate your comments on that. My other question would be, because of intended uses prior to the festival and after, is there much time required for the breakdown?
Yeah, Sean was requesting Monday, July 28th, maybe a little earlier if we can, to August 15th, to get everything in and out.
A couple of weeks then, right?
Okay, all right. That's something that we'll have to look at and make sure that.
I think that's something that you can talk to Sean about too, but that's,
Yeah, we're working on the MOU with Sean to present to the board in November, but as Tommy had mentioned, because of the sensitive timeliness of this with them booking their acts, they really need to kind of get this cemented sooner than later. So that's why even though Sean was out of town today, we did ask Tommy to still come in and share some information with you all about what we're looking to do. But we'll have more detailed information and an MOU to present to the board for November as well.
I do think that this is great to see. I mean, this has been a festival site for a long time until recently, and to restore it as a festival site, is one of the augmented uses there. I think
It's
I
really,
think it's been something we've been talking about for a while. It's just a question, it has gotten, a lot of the festivals got bigger than I think the town can handle, and from a logistics and planning standpoint. But I think this is a good concept to initiate out there.
thank you. Yeah, Sean feels comfortable and knowing like you do, obviously, the things that have to be taken into consideration for the location. I think he's thought about every angle.
That's good.
In our meetings too.
So what I hear you saying that you want me to dust off my trombone and join you, right?
Hey,
Didn't ask that.
more than welcome. It was funny because it's like once we do these things, and I've done them in even Knoxville where the mayor's gotten up and they love I think they worked into one of the deals in Geneseo that someone had to introduce one of the bands from the town, so we can do things like that and tie it in, and we can also tie in like when you get to town, where to stay here and where to go for a great meal and
Yeah.
keep it.
If I do, it'll be on your last night when you want people to go home. That's,
Yeah, right. Yeah, but there's a lot of good things in town here that people can enjoy, like the different restaurants and nightlife,
Sure.
any other questions, comments? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I did forget to mention it was award-winning Iron Smoke.
Yeah, it's crazy. I came up with it in the backyard, and I didn't even know what made it brown when I figured it out. But we saw it after we drank a lot of it. But one of the most sought after bourbons, small batch in the world right now. I just launched in Kentucky. When I first went down there, like, you're making what? Where? I'm like, just try it. And now we just launched in Kroger. It's a big chain down there. I was down there 2 weeks ago in Kentucky.
Great.
It's bringing into New York State bourbon down there and selling it is pretty cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Got to build a
Thank you.
big rick house up here.
Oh yeah, we're going to expand too. Maybe next time if you have a meeting, come on out there. We love company. If you ever want to come out. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm going to do one real fire before we go to the meetings. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., we're going to have a presentation from the National Federation of the Blind of New York State, and it's from WAMO. With them, they'll be looking at driverless cars. So that will be 11 o'clock in front of the gazebo on driverless cars. And then we have a presentation here in the project room at 11 a.m. So individuals who are blind or low vision, we have an opportunity to explore the vehicle inside and out. And those people who are interested in learning more about autonomous vehicles are welcome to attend for tomorrow. It's now time for department head updates. Madam, starting and go left to right. One second, I don't think the mic's on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So we're working on our JCAP deadline. That's due on Friday. The lobby restrooms are currently underway right now. They're working on them. We're looking at probably another couple of months.
Thank you very much. Madam Commissioner? Yeah, I think the mic's not working.
It's blinking. Yeah, thank you.
hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. So yes, we are wrapping up our paving season, and we also, the end of the month is when we wrap up our brush pickup for all of our residents. Just one more round to put your brush out to the curb. And we continue, as Sally said, we continue to work through our construction projects. We're in the court restrooms right now, and we're also continue to work on the ADA restroom down at Camp Eastman. And within the next couple weeks, we should be fully wrapped up in the backyard. We continue to plant right-of-way trees this fall. The majority of that is our town staff doing such, and this looks to be a good year that we're going to plant more trees than we've cut down, which is great. And we also are kicking off, or we have started the reconstruction of the Bellhurst pump station. So that will be complete by the end of the year.
Thank you. Mr. Director?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple statistical updates. Building departments issued 740 building permits year to date. That's an 11% year-over-year increase. Our code enforcement office has fielded 1,113 complaints, which they've investigated. That's a 3.5% year-over-year increase. We're currently working on a few large-scale construction projects throughout the town. A couple that you may start to see. The vacant Tim Hortons on Hudson Avenue is going to be converted to a restaurant. They're in the process of working on construction at this point. A new restaurant is set to occupy the old Blue Palm on Culver Road. They're just starting construction there, I believe. Permits were issued. And then we are in the planning and zoning process for a large-scale apartment complex, which I've talked about before, on Culver Road and the old Wambox property. We've made significant headway at this point on our LWRP process, which is something required by the Department of State. We continue to work on that. I imagine by the end of the year, hopefully we'll have it in a semi-finalized state. And then we've also been hosting multiple open house listening sessions for short-term rental legislation potentially. And we have a resolution in this meeting to share the results of a survey that was posted electronically for next month for public comment as well.
Thank you. And before we go to Madam Director, one of the things, just for food for thought, is that we don't have the budget to mail out to every resident. So if you're at home and you hear of an event coming up or a hearing coming up or just an informational meeting, please help spread the word, because we're limited to our website, Facebook, I think Instagram. So that's what we're limited to. If not, it costs thousands of dollars to send out a notice, and we have multiple meetings all the time. So we want to think about that with going forward. Madam Director?
Thank you. As the supervisor mentioned, the Recreation Department kicked off the month of Spooktober on this past Friday here with our Movies Under the Stars, which was also complete with a haunted house that we built over in the Market Building, hay rides that were going around Town Hall campus, games, food, all that good stuff. So despite the rain on Friday night, we did have a nice turnout and a great event. This coming Thursday, the 10th, is our final outdoor market. It's also our fall festival theme. Our vendors will be giving out candy to the kiddos who are there to trick or treat, and we'll have a bunch of Halloween and October fall related activities and snacks for folks to enjoy. And then we move over to our indoor market, which will begin on Thursday, November 7th from 4 to 7 o'clock. So that will move to a weekly market beginning the 7th, 4 to 7 each Thursday. So we're looking forward to that as well. And then just to round out Spooktober, we have our Trunk or Treat event taking place at the Community Center on Friday the 25th from 5:30 to 7:30. We'll have well over 30 vendors and trunks for that activity as well, free to the community and kiddos. We'll have music and food and activities and all that good stuff as well. And then just looking forward to November, Monday the 11th, Veterans Day, our Veterans Day ceremony with the Legion Post 134 will be here at Town Hall at 11 o'clock. So looking forward to that as well.
Thank you. Chief?
Yes, sir. We are putting finishing touches on our homicide investigation from Knapp Avenue. Obviously, we arrested one individual, and we have an arrest warrant out for the second individual. That's a nationwide search, and obviously there's been an arrest warrant put out for the second individual, and working in conjunction with the U.S. Marshal's Office, they've put out a $5,000 reward. So it's been a large process to put all this stuff together, and we're still gathering, still continue to gather information and put all the information to put this case to rest. So it was a great effort, and actually phenomenal police work by our investigations team. Our technicians are second to none, and every police officer in the department helped out right there. So it was a great effort, starting with very little to coming to closure in such a short amount of time. As just kudos to all the officers out there. So it was an awesome job. So we are actually in the middle of, we started today our new body-worn camera training. We received all the new body-worn cameras through the Law Enforcement Tech Grant, and we're going to be replacing all of them with all new software, Motorola solution. It's actually pretty robust body-worn cameras, so we're pretty happy with them. A lot more user-friendly for the officers, and just a overall better product. So that'll be great. That'll be those should be going live probably by the end of the week. So we'll have those there. We are starting our fall-in service for our officers. We're just putting a final touches on that, and just waiting to get all of our range time scheduled. But some really good, challenging training for our officers to keep them, ready to go. And let me see. We're also looking to start to put together another RFP now with the expansion of the impound lot. We will be putting together an RFP for our tow contract that will allow us to actually collect fees for storage and any vehicles that are not claimed within the legal amount of time. Hopefully we'll be able to auction those off, and that'll be keeping the revenue generated here in town instead of sending to a private contractor. And that's about it right now.
Thank you very much. And every day I get literally 10 or 15 thank yous for the work that you guys do. So I appreciate it greatly. Madam Clerk?
So in the clerk's office, we are continuing to collect taxes to the end of the year. We're currently collecting Seabreeze water payments that went out October 1st. And we have seen an influx of Freedom of Information requests, so we're currently working on those as well.
Madam Controller?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We are continuing to work on the budget. We will be presenting the tentative budget later this week. We are also working on our year-end reporting for our CDBG grant and normal day-to-day issuing checks and depositing money.
Mr. Attorney, no update?
Yeah, no, I will be brief. Legal is continuing to support the various departments with legal issues as they arise, and will continue to do so. And with respect to litigation, risk, and exposure items, fortunately, there is nothing new. There has been a couple of litigated matters on the agenda for the last many meetings. They are still technically open and active, but they are not moving. They are in a standstill, awaiting action either by the court or by opposing counsel on these matters. So I will continue to keep the board apprised as these matters pick up.
Thank you. Madam Controller, financial report?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The 2024 financial results for the town as of September 30th. 75% of the year has elapsed, and the town's total expenses, actual expenditures, and encumbrances of $32,044,000 are lower than budget at 71.4%. Actual expenses are $30,180,000, or 67.2% of budget, and encumbrances are $1,863,000, or 4.1% of budget. Typically, encumbrances are still sizable at this point in the year as departments are committing to services, supplies, and commodities that will be needed for the remainder of the year. The general fund total expenses of $21,458,000 are below budget at 73%. The actual expenditures total $20,690,000, or 70.3% of budget, and encumbrances are $768,000. Encumbrances include townwide street lighting, legal fees, EMS services, and other contracted expenses throughout the town. Overall, the expenses of the highway funds are $4,599,000, or 73.9% of budget, lower than the 75% of the year that has elapsed. Actual expenditures are $3,808,000, or 61.2% of budget, and encumbrances total $790,000. The costs continue to be driven by considerable expenses and encumbrances for gas, road salt, equipment parts, and road paving. The library expenditures are lower than budget at 65.4%, a year-to-date total of $1,868,000. Expenses on the sewer fund of $2,734,000 are below budget at 66.7%. Actual expenditures are $2,461,000, or 60% of budget, while encumbrances are $273,000. Stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 45% of budget, a total of $423,000. The general fund has received 78.1% of budgeted revenue at $20,773,000. Real estate tax of $12,790,000 has been collected. 128% of the payment in lieu of tax revenue of $298,000 is in. The town has recorded 5 months of sales tax revenue in the amount of $2,744,000, or 41% of budget. Aid and incentives to municipality revenue of $613,000 was received in September. Recreation has received 88.7% of its budgeted revenue as of September 30th. Regarding the entire town, $34,457,000, or 82.7% of revenue and appropriated fund balance have been received to date. Approximately $19,279,000 is from real estate tax. At month end, the library has confirmed revenue of $2,829,000, or 99.4% of budget. 85.7%, or $5,176,000 of revenue has been received by the highway funds. 101.8% of sewer fund revenue, or $3,912,000, has been received. Stormwater drainage has verified 100% of its budgeted revenue at $948,000. Page 3 of the financial report presents the third quarter year-to-date summary in comparison to the prior 6 years. Regarding expenditures by fund, which are shown on the top third of the page, the overall 71.4% of total budget spent and encumbered is comparable to the prior 5 years. The middle third of the page contains the revenue for the general fund, and the bottom third of the page allows for revenue comparisons of the other funds. The last line reflects the bottom line collective revenue and appropriated fund balance for the town. The 2024 general fund revenue reflects 78.1% of budget received to date, on par with the 2023 and prior year revenues. The revenue and appropriated fund balance for the town as a whole is 82.7%, which is similar to the prior 5 years. Minor revenue variations are common due to timing of receipts and/or budget changes over the years. In addition, the American Rescue Funds of $22,455,000 have been received. The use of this funding is restricted to the response to and relief of COVID-19. The funding must be allocated to projects no later than December 31st, 2024, and expended by December 31st, 2026. Approximately $21,811,000, or 97.1%, has been allocated to projects. Of this allocation, approximately $15,721,000, or 72%, has been expended, and $4,186,000 remains encumbered for various projects. This concludes the financial report for the month of September.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Controller. I just want to add to the board that we still would like your input on projects to use the remainder of the ARPA funds. So please get that to me as soon as you can so we can make sure we don't lose any of that, of those funds. Madam Clerk, we have some minutes to approve in our regular town board meeting. So looking at the September 2024 workshop, correct? Are there any questions, comments, or corrections from Madam Clerk?
And if by next meeting, would it be? By next meeting, can I have a copy of those, the minutes?
Okay.
Well, for here, okay? Because I haven't even looked, is the minutes, are they online right now? The
Yes.
minutes from last?
They are.
They are, okay. Because I looked at the agenda over the weekend, yeah, but if I can have a copy of those, I'd like to have it with me, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry that they were in the packet, my error.
Yeah, they're not in the packet.
Okay, my mistake. For the September 20th regular town board meeting, same, any questions, comments, or corrections? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, we have several items to review for our regular town board meeting.
We have a public hearing called at 7:35 on October 15th. It would be on the matter of approving an application for the rezoning of 2305 Portland Avenue from R6 Residential to District C Business District. The first resolution is regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance in the matter of rezoning 2305 Portland Avenue from R6 Residential District to C Business District.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, sir, thank you very much. This is in regards to the State Environmental Quality Review Act regarding the rezoning of 2305 Portland Avenue. We are recommending that the action be an unlisted negative declaration, that no large significant adverse environmental impacts associated with the action were identified in the short environmental assessment form. And the applicant would just like to rezone the parcel that is currently zoned R6 residential to C business, which will allow for the applicant for the proposed use of the takeout catering business.
Any questions or comments?
Has the planning board looked at this at all yet?
Yes, they did. Within the second resolution that's on the agenda, the planning board offered a positive referral regarding the rezoning. They did have a few concerns in regards to the proposed parking in the front lawn of the property, and that any parking requirements, if it were to be rezoned as C business, would require an area variance. Screening, they suggested screening on the south and west needs to be adequate for adjoining residents. Recommends that the application come back to the planning board regarding the proposed change of use. Difference of use between the R6 and the C business uses is minimal, as previous businesses were permitted at that location.
One of the things, and I know this is not exactly our purview, but would be the planning board's purview, was this parking issue. And
Correct.
I didn't see on that site plan a way of effectively putting parking on there. And if it does require a variance, I mean, are we putting the cart before the horse on resolving this non-conforming issue, as it relates to the rezoning? I mean, I don't want to rezone a parcel necessarily if it can't be what the parking needs can't be accomplished through either variance or site considerations there.
So you would recommend having it go through the site plan process first and
Well,
then come back for rezoning?
Well, we're rezoning a project that conceivably could not achieve its goals for parking or necessary needs for parking on the site. And why would we rezone it if it can't be physically accomplished there?
I do believe that the applicant and his agent are here, if you'd like them to
Okay?
discuss.
Yeah, please. You both can approach.
You don't have to if you don't want to. Not mandatory, but.
Hi, my name is Daryl Krumsig. I live at 487 Stony Point in Rochester. So yes, the building itself is really going to limit the use that can go into it. We are seeking the opportunity for Sam to be able to have a takeout catering business. So the parking requirements are pretty limited for his specific business. Our real desire is to be able to be in compliance with the use of the property, and right now, he can't run a business, a takeout catering business. So that's what we're really seeking, his opportunity to move his existing business to this location, and the rezone to C business allows for that use. The parking on that property is pretty limited, and so his particular business does not need a lot of use. I understand that you would be rezoning it for it to be utilized as a C business indefinitely. But his use doesn't require a lot of parking. In that a lot of his use is delivery. So he would be taking an order. He would be fulfilling that order by taking it from the premise to the customer's location. So
Using Grubhub or DoorDash or
using his trucks. Yeah, so
These are large catering orders, or these are small personal one-up?
Doesn't matter. Big, small, doesn't matter.
See, now you're talking, now you got to come forward.
My name is Sam Battaglia. I live at 526 Wimbledon Road. Yeah, we take any deliveries, small, big, anything from weddings to small house parties. But 99% of the orders go out the door deliveries. So the parking is really, like, no customers ever come to me unless they're really picking up, but most of the orders are deliveries.
Are you have an existing location on Ridge Road?
I do. Right on, like, Culver and Ridge in the Great Wind Plaza.
You do will call type stuff where people come in and grab food? I mean, at least.
Not like, you can't like just call and like a to-go order right now and just come pick it up. It would have to be at least, a day or so.
I swear during COVID, or I thought that you came
COVID,
in.
we used to do Friday night dinners.
Okay.
So we used to do fish fries and stuff like that, but just got a little too busy for that. So then the catering kind of took over. So we did it to like get people in the door, try our food. But we only did it on Fridays because we were only supposed to do catering, and then COVID hit. And that was like the only thing we could do. So we started working with the hospitals and then doing Friday nights again. And then once everything kind of came back, we just went back to just catering.
So this location, you're going to prepare and then deliver. That's basically what you're going to do
Basically,
there.
it's just the kitchen. Most of the people call. I mean, sometimes people just come just to kind of, meet me or
okay.
talk to me or whatever.
Sure.
But everything's basically over the phone. We deliver. I mean, the parking was just, we put it on there just to kind of accommodate. We thought maybe that's what you guys required. But we really don't need it.
Okay.
I think that term takeout is a little deceiving. It's
Yeah.
not like there's a takeout, that's not, there's not a walk-up window.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's, it's people come in, they might place an order, but most of the time they just call. And then every order is basically delivered out the door. So there's really no traffic. There's really no, I own 2 catering vans, so everything kind of gets delivered from that.
So I feel like a little bit, I don't know, this is a chicken and egg argument here, because you'll have delivery vans, you have employees, and I would love to see this successful and not be, a nuisance to the neighbors around there. And, there's, zoning requirements for parking that are just prescriptive, like a commercial space needs X number of parking spots per.
Yep.
And then there's some realities that what you and your use and your operation has required for that spot. And I would, I think in general, I mean, it seems like a good idea, but I mean, I don't know which comes first because, I know which comes first, but right now, but I'm hesitant to give a zoning variance for something that can't achieve the parking and the physical requirements that the site may be imposed on the site for both planning and zoning issues.
So in other words, when you do move on, and everyone always does, then that building is stuck with a C business, and there's no way to accommodate the parking.
Right.
That's mainly for the people at home, so they can understand what the issues are.
Very well said, Supervisor. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And my understanding too is I watched the planning board meeting and you don't have food deliveries. My understanding was you're going out, your supplies, you are actually going and picking them up. You don't have trucks delivering.
No. Correct.
Question for legal, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer it. Is there any way to limit the zone to this business and then revert back if they ever leave the location? Is that ever done?
Not easily. The odd thing here is you're looking at converting to a C business district, which will require a variance. Right now, it's an R6. There's technically not a whole lot of difference between uses in R6 and a C business, but nonetheless, if you'll need a variance, that is where the question comes from. Board member Wayner, you're getting the cart out in front of the horse. I understand that your business doesn't need parking and it's not an issue.
I mean, I also see issues too with dumpsters and refuse. And I mean, I don't know what you're using for oil. I mean, I just like to see the site resolved a little bit more and I'd rather say a use variance than a rezoning.
I understood a use variance. We would have to be able to say, based upon R6 zoning, there was no means for Sam to be able to utilize it and be profitable.
Not self-imposed.
And that seemed like a hard one to win because it's residential property, and so it could be sold as a home, and therefore it could be used as a home, and therefore make financial sense. So we didn't see that as an opportunity to be effective in saying there wasn't a good use for the building. But we will take your recommendation if you think there's another way to approach it. We thought it was relatively a low-risk change for the board in that the building itself and the proximity and the way that it is set on the site, there aren't many businesses that could go in and use the building as a C business use. Obviously, it could be a professional services building, but that would be effective in R6 zoning classification. The only way that we saw it could really be changed significantly if the property were to be purchased and adjoined with the business on Titus Avenue. And therefore, then you could have access on Titus Avenue and make that parcel much more effective from a more of a commercial business use and not having access on Portland Avenue. So the property itself, the lot, the zone, the building is in and of itself, it limits what can go into that property. But we saw Sam being able to take over the property. It was in pretty bad shape. It is in pretty bad shape. It's going to be given a new life. It's going to be, it's going to be dressed up. It's going to have better access, and we thought it would be a good improvement for the town.
And I don't disagree with any of those things. It's like all the advent of what ifs and future concerning. I don't know. There's just planning and zoning issues associated with this site that, as well as,
How about we look at this again and see if there's an alternative? If not, we'll just
The public hearing has been scheduled. That's the only concern that I have.
I'm fine with the public hearing if we want to hear more from the public, and, I mean, but I'm not sure that I'm going to have everything resolved in my mind to have to do review seeker as well as close it out.
Yeah, since there's no action being taken tonight, you guys can still continue looking at it and go forward with the public hearing. That's not that's allowable, so.
The notices did go
I mean, I
out.
like you and your operation. I just don't want to put, it's the old 6 pounds, 5 pound bag. Yeah, I just want to make sure we get 5 pounds in the 5 pound bag.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Any questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 2, resolution under the public hearing, approving an application on the matter of rezoning 2305 Portland Avenue from R6 Residential District to C Business District.
I think we got that one covered.
Correct.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 1, a resolution authorizing the permanent appointment of a code compliance coordinator.
Mr. Director?
This is not working. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The Code Compliance Coordinator, Mary Werner, has announced her retirement. We've recruited, we've canvassed the civil service lists. The Code Compliance Inspector that's worked underneath her is eligible, reachable, and Bill Lang recommends Lydia Shuren for this position.
Yeah, just if I may, Lydia's worked for the town for 8 years at this point. She started as a clerk 3, then was the assistant building inspector, and now this would be another promotion. So some good continuity in government here. She has also been training with the outgoing code compliance coordinator, so she's going to hit the ground running as soon as she takes over the job upon Mary's retirement. And then, she does have an excellent rapport with her residents. She does, have a lot of really good connections in town and seems to make things happen in a way that benefits town and residents. So, highly recommend her.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 2, authorizing the provisional appointment of a recreation supervisor.
Madam Director?
Yes, thank you. We are very excited to be able to present Recreation Supervisor with a focus on athletics and fitness. To the board, it's a position that's been vacant that we've been looking to fill for some time now. We put a call out for applicants and received quite a few resumes. We ended up interviewing 6 candidates, and the individual that we would like to present to the board, Chris Chavez, was just a fantastic fit all the way around. He has a degree in exercise science, and he's been working over 10 years at YMCAs as well as municipalities in leadership and recreation roles specific to sports and fitness. So we're really excited to be able to grow out our offerings at the rec center with our fitness center, and then also our athletic leagues, and really be able to utilize all the great spaces that we have in town for sports and athletics. So we're very excited to present Chris Chavez for this position.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 3, calling for a public hearing on the matter of granting a conditional special use permit for 5.5 and 6.1 Waldo Avenue in an R2 residential district.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Again, this is in regards to 55 and 61 Waldo Avenue. They have made application to the town board for a conditional special use permit for the operation of a nonprofit organization called the Margaret Home. This is the calling of the public hearing.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 4, adopting local law to establish a 6-month extension of the current moratorium of short-term rentals.
Mr. Director?
Yeah, this is calling to extend the moratorium that was established in November of last year for short-term rentals. This is in an effort to continue to solicit public opinion prior to making any final decisions on any legislation.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? And for the board, if you have any more additional, after going through the listening phase, any more additional comments or observations, please give them to Mr. Director and just CC me on it. I think we had a pretty good turnout over the last 2 sessions, and we have more planned, but the more information that we have, the better. Thanks. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 5, calling for a public hearing on the results of the short-term rental survey.
Mr. Director?
Yeah, this is calling of a public hearing in order to solicit that public opinion as well as share the survey results from the electronic survey on short-term rentals.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 6, appointing a Conservation Board chairperson.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is in regards to a resignation that we received from Krista Greer, who was acting chairperson of the Arundequoit Conservation Board. The board had discussed, and Daniel David is the individual that has stepped up to take that position as the chairperson of the Arundequoit Conservation Board, and we'd like to put forward him for the term expiring of December 31st of 2025. But in that as well, we'd also like to extend our grateful gratitude to Krista for the past, I believe, over 8 years as a volunteer on the Arundequoit Conservation Board, as well as the Deer Management Program Board.
Thank you. Also, my extension to my good neighbor and friend Krista, she did an excellent job with the Conservation Board, and her knowledge is just amazing, and it's going to be it's a huge loss to our town.
Greatly missed. She'll be greatly missed. She was a great asset to the board.
How many positions do we have on the Conservation Board?
We have, I believe, 3 open right now. We have, I've had recruitments come in. I'm waiting for a few responses. I do have one individual that I need to arrange a date to set up to meet with and go over, and Aaron and Scott has graciously agreed to join me in that journey.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Well, thank you to Krista.
Seeing none, Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 7, calling for a public hearing on the letter of intent to apply for the Restore New York NYS grant program.
Mr. Director?
Yeah, this is a grant program done by the state of New York in order to put forth funding to restore properties that are either looking to convert or are derelict and need removal. We need to do this prior to the end of the year, and this puts forward 2 properties for discussion at a public hearing next month. And those are 4530 St. Paul Boulevard and 400 Skyview Center Parkway.
Any questions or comments?
What will this grant do to these properties, Bill?
Well, this is just the initial step. We need to declare our intent to put them forward in an application. That requires a public hearing as part of that process. We would be looking to partner with them for funding in order to facilitate those projects happening.
Okay, so 400 Skyview, what is that actually? Is it part of that building?
That parcel is actually the Bonton, former Bonton, on the south side of the property.
Okay.
And this would make way for what I believe would be a residential component.
Okay, so they have to partner up with us?
That's
and then
correct.
We don't know the amount of the grant or anything, though, do we?
We don't at this point.
All right.
I will say.
it's down the road.
Yeah, that, we're a ways off
Okay.
from knowing any sort of numbers. I will say there will be an adjustment to the resolution after speaking with our grant coordinator. There's a couple of words that need to be added to be a part of this process, so that will be added before the next meeting.
Okay, and then 4530 St. Paul, what property is that?
That's the St. Thomas Church
Okay,
residential
same
conversion.
thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Item number 8, authorizing the calling of a public hearing concerning the 2025 preliminary budget.
Madam Controller?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is an annual resolution to call a public hearing on the 2025 preliminary budget. This is required as part of the budgeting process each year. This would call the public hearing to be held on Thursday, November 7th at 7:35.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 9, authorizing the purchase of one 24-inch enclosed trailer to be used by the Department of Public Works.
Madam Commissioner?
Yes, thank you. This resolution would allow us to replace what we call our dig trailer. It's an enclosed trailer within the sanitation division. This would also amend our budget because we had an increase in revenue than was contemplated in our budget, so that's how we would pay for the trailer.
Any questions or comments? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 10, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with Point Pleasant Fire District.
Madam Controller?
That's me.
I'm sorry.
That's me.
Madam Commissioner?
No problem. This is our standard IMA that we do with our fire districts. So this is services that they request from us to helping out with varying repairs, site-specific and equipment that they ask us to do. And if we can do it, they pay us back for our time and materials. So.
Any questions or comments? Okay, so that concludes the,
Got one more.
sorry, one more? Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 11, which was a walk-in, is authorizing the capital improvement program for the town of Arundecoit for 2025 through 2030.
Madam Commissioner?
I realized too that I didn't pass out the spreadsheet. Can I walk up and
Yes,
give it to you?
please.
That was going to be my question.
And while you're doing that, just a reminder that the capital improvement plan is a living document, so it can be moved around and adjusted as the income or the revenue comes available. So this is a wish list for the future, not a guarantee that things will get done.
So yes, I wanted to pass this out and kind of go over, the thoughts, and feel free to shoot questions at me, but what we're looking for projects, specifically next year, the change that we had was for an upgrade to our playgrounds and town parks. Bristol Tot Lot is, I would say, our second most visited playground in town after the boat launch. This playground, I joke, we call it the Kaboom Playground. This was a community build just over 30 years ago, and it's getting hard to repair. The parts of it are no longer difficult to find. So, and because it's so used, that's why we were looking to upgrade this playground next year. In the spirit of our newer playground remodels, we would look to make this inclusive in nature. And we would work through what that looked like over the winter. And then, if you were in agreement that we would, I also have visions that this would increase our 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 unit. Also on this plan, we're looking to propose replacing the next small cabin down at Camp Eastman. And Also next year, every other year, we look to do our sewer laterals and mains. This is every other year we look to fix laterals and mains within the right-of-way. And then also in this plan, we're looking to bond funds to procure equipment and vehicles. This dollar value would get us to, I'm looking at our sheet, but, approximately 10 pieces of vehicles and equipment. And the challenge that we're facing right now with equipment and vehicles is the long lead time, and it also how we can get orders in and how we can get on the wait list, because we're approximately a couple years out on waiting for things. And what is currently legislated and looking to change for next year is we can only buy a gas-powered piece of equipment or vehicle, and there's an EV aspect to that they can't release certain equipment to us that's gas powered unless there's a certain EV component released at the same time. And they're kind of mirroring what happened in California. So as of right now in California, they got to a point where they gave exceptions to this rule, but right now that is not the case in New York. So we are going to be up against some, challenges with just how we're going to replace equipment and how we're going to get on the ordering schedule. And this also, gets us in front of trying to replace some of our older pieces of equipment and vehicles. I mean, we're looking at some vehicles are 1998, early 2000s. And this would get us to our plan of trying to get a vehicle out or a piece of equipment kind of used for 10 years and then get that cycled out, because, the longer we keep things, the harder maintenance gets, more parts costs, things of that nature. So if you have any, like I said, it's a plan, but if you have any thoughts or concerns.
So just some clarification. So the new rules in New York State says that we can't purchase a gas-powered piece of equipment unless there is an electric vehicle or electrical or sustainable energy component to it. So that puts us at a disadvantage going if we wait for a few years, because then it becomes mandatory.
Correct.
So now we can order the gas-powered without being up against that deadline?
Correct. And it also puts us in line with getting, we make this influx and getting equipment in here, and then what we're looking to do with controller, we worked very closely with her, is to get us to a sustainable, expected budgetary dollar value that we carry year after year to get us into a replacement schedule.
So what we work for the board and also for the people at home, what we're working on with the controller is a 5-year vehicle replacement plan to include law enforcement vehicles where it's predicted for replacement and based on a schedule versus something broken now our backs against the wall by paying the highest price. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I'm looking on this. Next year, you got $2 million worth of equipment. Is that part of the budget this year? What I see here? Is that going to be in the budget?
No.
Okay.
It will not be included in the 25 budget.
All right, okay, thanks.
And also, to the supervisor's point, if we're on a 5-year replacement plan and we're buying $2 million worth of equipment in 2025, or conceivably, that means in 2030, we're going to have another $2 million worth of equipment that we're looking at replacing. And
It shouldn't work out that way. We should be able to be extended out. So some vehicles may be 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line. So this just simply is a plan to get us to where we can plan the 5-year replacement. So it's putting in place a short gap measure to get us to that strategic replacement plan. And that's only because of the EV portion of this, where it would be mandatory that our price will be higher because we won't be able to buy a gas-powered vehicle without an electric power vehicle. So this just jumpstarts this process. But I understand what you're saying.
I guess what you're describing is a capital improvement plan, but this is one lump sum item on 1 year, which does not exactly indicate to me a plan. It's 10 vehicles, $2 million. Some of them have varying longevities, therefore, we're going to start implementing some replacement of these. And, 2030 is on this list, but, I just,
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
I guess this is a-
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. So what we're thinking here, no, is no, in 5 to 10 years, the idea is to not be doing this again. It would, that this would get our fleet where we're taking away some of these older vehicles and then getting our more current, and then from there, we'll be getting on a plan where we're getting a dump truck a year, and then it's a predictable investment each year instead of this right now.
I guess I understand, but we've been talking about a predictable plan ever since the fire, which I think we're kind of on when we were buying replacement vehicles that were old so that we could then not have to buy all new vehicles immediately, which is exactly the scenario it seems like we're back in again because we're trying to beat a presumed EV push on vehicles. And I guess I would just like more predictability and planning in our purchasing of this type of equipment. I mean, it is something that we've talked about even in the past too. I mean, we seem to bond a lot of equipment, even like pickup trucks and things like that, which I feel like, and I know maybe that interest rate isn't that important to the overall budget, but we're going to be in a situation where we're just borrowing money all the time from a budget which is seemingly big enough where if we planned that we could actually purchasing equipment and more and saving some of the interest rates. And, interest rates aren't exactly cheap anymore like they were in the past. And maybe I'm talking way beyond my capacity. I should be letting Diana talk more about it, but I just.
Yeah, our biggest budget increase and what I'm struggling with right now, which is why we had to delay it, is in wages. And so we agreed for some legacy commitments without a mechanism to pay for it. So the easiest way is to shift that cost of equipment to a bond to pay out for a longer period of time, and then to stabilize it and stabilize the entire budget going forward. So that's what we're trying to do right now. Am I speaking correctly, Madam Controller?
Yes, that is correct. This would help us to bring our equipment up to date and then work on the plan so we can have a stable budget moving forward for equipment. So we do not plan to bond again for equipment. It's going to be a part of the annual budgetary process. This is just to get our equipment up to date, and then we're going to get on the 3 to 10 year cycle depending on the type of equipment it is and what the lifespan is for the equipment. So right now, when we've been purchasing, we'll buy 3 dump trucks 1 year, and then of course they all need to be replaced the same year. We're trying to rotate that out, so it's not 3 dump trucks in 1 year, it's 1 dump truck a year, so it's stable year over year.
So right now, Madam Commissioner, and we're working on actually a fleet management plan, which we'll be presenting once we get all the information. And that includes looking at police vehicles, DPW vehicles, commission vehicles for the various commission, and how to manage that over a 5-year and a 10-year period of time for the heavily durable items.
Okay. I mean, I've kind of just heard that, and no, this is not, we've been talking about this in other administrations in the past.
Yeah, but
for years and years.
Yeah, but you didn't have me.
I know. I just don't want us to be like the next thing is like, well, now it's EV crisis, if you will, and that's going to cause us to get off plan. I would like to have a plan.
Yeah, the EV, looking at the technology that is here, for the vehicles that we use and the vehicles that this will represent. They won't have anything ready
I
for
understand.
next 10 years, so.
I'm glad to hear that we're developing a plan. The devil in these things is always in the details, and as you've explained, we're going to get to some of the details.
No, we definitely will, Peter. We're working, we are working on our fleet, and, you see in our budget the last, few years is that, that's where like the 2 dump trucks a year comes from, because that gets a dump truck out of here every 12 years. And, that gets us to our goal. And then that's what we're looking to get with every piece of equipment and vehicle that we have, and I know I can speak for DPW, but I think that's the sentiment across the board.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, is that the last resolution, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
And thanks very much. Due to a couple of scheduling conflicts, we are adjusting the schedule. I'll post the budget to the board on October 10th. On October 15th is the first public budget workshop from 4 to 6 p.m. October 15th is the regular town board meeting at 7 p.m. October 16th is workshop number 2 at 5:30 p.m. October 21st is a special town board to adopt the preliminary budget at 4 p.m. And November 7th is the public hearing for the budget at 7:35 p.m. November 12th is a town board workshop at 4 p.m. November 18th is a special meeting to adopt the budget at 4 p.m. And November 19th is a regular town board meeting at 7 p.m. Again, the next regular town board meeting is October 15th. This concludes our workshop meeting for October 7th, 2024. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The meeting is adjourned.